Hello and welcome to our webinar today. We're happy to have you here for our Layout Manager training. I'd like to go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Bruce Eckman. I'm the President and CEO of EZ-NetTools, and I will be the host of today's webinar. We have with us Tyler Swindeman, who's actually going to be the presenter. How are you today, Tyler?
I'm doing great.
Glad to have you here with us.
Thank you.
So, Tyler's going to actually do the presentation. And here are the topics that we're going to cover during the webinar. Tyler, could you just go ahead and kind of tell us what you're going to go through in the webinar today?
Well, as you can see here on your screen, you can see the outline of our webinar. Today we will cover an introduction to layout managers, the basics of Page Builder, just show you some functions and how to do certain things within Page Builder to get us started with using layout managers. And then we're going to cover the layout manager basics and set up a few examples, show you kind of how you would use them, and then we'll go through the configuration of layout managers, each of the different options, so that you have a good grounding or understanding of how layouts work and what you can do with layouts. And then we're going to show you how to use nested layout managers, which is one layout manager within another. And then we're going to show you some examples, and then we're going to cover some standard cautions with using layout managers, what not to do or what to avoid, or what can happen if certain things are done a certain way. And then we're just going to do a review of the entire webinar. So that's what we're covering today.
Okay, that sounds like it's a good amount of information to cover today, Tyler. So I'll go ahead and turn the desktop over to you. And you can go ahead with your presentation there. You should be able to pick it up.
Okay, well, as you can see here on your screen, we're starting out here from our Member Tools account. This is the first screen that you see once you log into your Member Tools account. You should be pretty familiar with this screen, but we're going to go over how to get to where we need to be to start working with layout managers. But first, as just a general introduction to layout managers, layout managers are pretty important, and here's the reason why. Making your website visually appealing could be one of the biggest challenges you face when you develop your website. If your website is well made, your visitors will be much more likely to stay longer, return, or even make purchases or sign up or participate within your site and your products and services. In order to create a good website, you need to learn how to organize the content on your pages. And the purpose of this webinar is to teach you how to use Easy Page Builder Layout Manager blocks, which is the key to effective website design. The Layout Manager block is a type of block in Page Builder. It's similar to many of the other types of blocks in there if you're familiar with Easy Page Builder, like the title block, text simple block, table block, and so on. But the Layout Manager block is unique because it allows us to rearrange those different types of blocks. It doesn't allow us to add any content to the page. It just simply allows us to organize that content more effectively. Without Layout Manager blocks, all of the content on our page would be displayed one on top of another, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But it won't look professional. Most of you will have designs that are pretty comprehensive or aesthetically pleasing, and in order to actually build them within the tools, you need to use Layout Manager blocks. They're very important. You almost can't build a website now without them. So now we're going to get into what we need to do and how we can do it. So the first thing that we're going to do to start working with the Layout Managers is we're going to go into our Construction Tools tab, as you can see here with my mouse. And once we're in the Construction Tools tab, we're going to click on Easy Page Builder. Now, Easy Page Builder is the program that we use to edit our web pages. In this situation, we're actually just going to create a new blank page. So I just selected this new blank page option here, and I'm going to click Continue. And this will open up a new blank page in Page Builder. And since there isn't anything on the page, the very first thing Page Builder asks is, do you want to add a new block? Right now, we're just going to go ahead and click Cancel. And then this will take us to our page, and the only thing that's displayed on this page is just the basic global information that's specified on this account. So there's really nothing on here but just the footer information. if you haven't seen Page Builder before, let me just move this little thing out of the way here so you can see this. Page Builder has a few things in here that are important for using Easy Page Builder, and the first one is this little drop-down arrow up here where File is. Just a few things from here. If you're working on a page, you want to make sure that you save the page, and so you can save a page by simply clicking Save. And I don't know if you can see this over here, but way over here is a drop-down. Can you see it? I don't see it on the screen. But once we start adding in blocks in here, there's a drop-down over here that will show a list of all the blocks on the page, and we call this our page layout. And it'll help us in managing our Layout Manager blocks when we start adding those in. And to add in a block, we're just going to go ahead and click over here on Add, and we're going to add in a new block. And for training purposes, we're just going to add in a few basic blocks here. So we're just going to add in a title block and click Next Step. And in here we're just going to enter in the number 1 and make it big so we can see it. And let's make it bigger. There we go. And then we're just going to go ahead and add this in. So I'm basically going to be setting up a few blocks in here for us to work with layout managers. So I've created a first block in here. We're going to create a second one. And again, we're just going to enter in a number 2 and make it large. And you can see that I'm just editing the font size of these blocks within the title block, which is one of our more basic blocks within Page Builder that allows you to simply just add in text to a website pretty quickly. And just quickly setting these up pretty quickly. So as you can see here, I've just now added 3 blocks, and they're numbered 1, 2, and 3 onto this particular page. And you've noticed that I've simply clicked this little green plus sign to add in a new block. This is our new Add Block button. Next to it's a pencil, which is our Edit button. And the next few here are Move buttons, and then our red X is a Delete button. These are pretty useful in using Page Builder. But as you can see, it's added these blocks one on top of another, and if I continue adding on blocks, which I'm not, it would just keep adding these blocks all the way down the page. And you can see that their numbering, 1, 2, and 3, are also consecutive with the sequence of these blocks that were added. So you can see here that you can add in blocks in Page Builder pretty quickly, and you can add in graphic blocks and title blocks, and you can have a fairly good-looking website if you wanted to have one of those pages that was just a really long page. We've all seen them out there. Some people are effective with those, but others need a little bit more control with their design and to be able to do some neat things. So one of those things, one of those tools is Layout Manager blocks. What we're going to do is we're actually going to add in a Layout Manager block now. And to do that, I'm just going to click this little green plus sign here. I'm going to do it on block 1. And on this drop-down list here where we're selecting which blocks we want to add, we just scroll all the way down to the very bottom. And the second one from the bottom is called Layout Manager. And we're just going to select before. And basically what I've done is I've clicked the green plus sign on block 1. And I'm saying that I want to add this new Layout Manager block before that block. And then click Next Step. And this will take us to our configurations options for this Layout Manager block. But for right now, I'm just going to select rows, and I'm going to submit this block. And we're going to cover each of these features here in a second, as soon as I show you how to add this block and put these blocks in it and what we can do with it layout-wise. So you can see here now that I've added in this new block 1, and it's empty. It doesn't have anything in it. And the number is 1, and all of the numbers after it have changed, 2, 3, and 4. And so this is our Layout Manager block here. And what I'm going to do now is, in order to use this Layout Manager block, I'm going to move blocks into it. Now, again, and here's our drop-down list that I was talking about earlier. If I click on this drop-down list, it shows a page layout of all of the blocks on our page. And you can see that this new Layout Manager that I added actually takes up 2 slots on this. It's 1-start layout and 1-end layout. And later on, when I show you how this works, you'll eventually see that everything between Start Layout and End Layout is contained within the Layout Manager block. Right now there's nothing in it, so it doesn't have anything in it here on this drop-down, and it doesn't have anything on the block in the page. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move these existing title blocks that we've created into this Layout Manager block. To do that, I'm going to just simply click this blue up arrow and move it into the block. And it's going to move it inside block 1, which is the Layout Manager. And so now you can see how this Layout Manager border kind of goes around this entire block. And you can also see that the red number has changed for this title block, that it's now 1.1 instead of just 2, and that all of the consecutive blocks have changed number as well. So we've got 2 and 3. And I'm just going to simply click the blue arrow up on these and move them into the Layout Manager as well. And I've moved the second one in, and now I'm moving the third one in. So now with this Layout Manager block that we've added, we have 3 title blocks, and they're actually in the same exact order and layout as they were prior to using the Layout Manager block. So we really haven't accomplished anything different. All we've done is we've added in a Layout Manager block and moved these blocks into it. But suppose we want these blocks to be side by side instead of all one on top of another down the page. Maybe we want them to go across the page. So this is where a Layout Manager comes in handy, is we can then click on this little pencil edit icon and edit this block 1, which is our Layout Manager. And when we first set up this Layout Manager, we selected rows, which is one block on top of another, each on their own row, all the way down your page. Columns is one block in its own column, all in one row across the page. And so we're just going to simply select columns from rows and go down and submit this block, and we should see an immediate change in how these blocks are laid out across this page. So instead of, again, being laid out one on top of another down the page, they are now side by side across your screen. And we changed that just by simply selecting one option and making that change.